Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today on Phoenix Rising, A Way Towards Health. I'm your host, Krista Townsend, and it is my mission to bring you information on natural and holistic healing methods, products, and services. So I'm very excited about my guest today. Joining me is Renae Cerquitella. Among her many other credentials, I'm just taking a snippet here, but Renae is a board-certified clinical hypnotherapist, a medical adjunct hypnotherapist, and a behavioral health and relationship coach. She's the founder of Start Here Coaching Services, which has now evolved into Oklahoma City Clinical Hypnotherapy. Approximately 78 to 80% of her clients do request hypnosis, and Renae's specialty is disrupting old thought patterns that no longer serve the individual, which I love that. I mean, wow, Renae, that's awesome. So welcome, Renae.
Thank you.
How are you? Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Good, good. Well, I always like to start out and just briefly talk about how I met my guest. So I was thinking about that the other night. I believe I met you at it was a business luncheon.
Yes.
And you were the speaker. You were the guest speaker, and
Yeah.
you happened to sit at my table.
Mm-hmm. And it was in October of 2017, I believe. 2016 or 17. I think it was 2017.
Okay. And this was like a ladies' lunch group, I think?
It suited for success.
Okay.
It was their luncheon, yes.
Right, right. And we were at the restaurant at the top of Founders Tower.
Yes.
So, and I felt like we just made a connection from the start.
I felt the same thing too, because we were talking so much. I had an appointment to go to, but I didn't even want to go to the appointment. I was trying to figure out how to get out of my appointment just so I could stay there and talk with you. But yeah, I felt the immediate connection right away. And when you reached out to me later, I was like, I was so happy.
Yeah. We had lunch a couple of times, and then our friendship blossomed. And I would like to say I have utilized your coaching services, and I have had a hypnotherapy session, which was wonderful. So we're going to talk about that. And I do want to mention, after I had the hypnotherapy session, my blood pressure went down immediately. And that was during a time when I was notoriously having a lot of high blood pressure. And I was amazed. 24 hours later, the numbers were definitely down. So I can attest to some of the benefits of that.
Well, Krista, I think I need to send you at least 2 more recordings that you can listen to every day, just to keep you in that parasympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system.
Okay.
It would really help.
Okay, because I'm one of those people that needs help with that, because I tend to be very on and energetic, and I'm the type A personality, and that can, we do pay a price for that.
Yes, well, I got a note down to make sure I send that to you.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, let's get started on, we'll just start with the basics. So what exactly is hypnotherapy?
So let me ask you first, what do you believe hypnotherapy is?
Well, I believe it is a form of therapy to, help calm the sympathetic or the parasympathetic system. And it puts you in a certain state, a stage of your brain waves, puts you in like the theta, I believe the theta state, which is very calming. And then it makes you open to suggestion, positive suggestion, behavioral change, relaxation, can help with multiple levels of your being.
Yeah.
Am I getting close?
You're pretty close to it. So when I describe hypnosis to folks, I really don't go too deep into the theta or beta waves of the brain. It's not that we don't learn that. It's just not necessary unless the client wants to know that side of the science. Only a handful do, believe it or not. They come in and they're like, let's get started. But I do give them a basic package of information before we have our first session, and then they have an opportunity to look those things up themselves or quiz me about it. When you think of hypnosis, I want you to think of a single thing. Of all the ways we can access higher mind, which is prayer, meditation, and hypnosis, of those 3 ways, hypnosis is the only one that gets you laser focused, thinking about exactly what you want to think about. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Think of you driving home from work or driving somewhere that you really want to go, a get together, although many of us are not getting to go to get togethers right now, but imagine yourself driving in your car, and you start thinking about something else, or a radio comes on and you start thinking about, oh, I remember the 80s and how cool was that, and I remember this song. You are going into a state of trance. And the word trance and hypnosis are constantly interchanged. They're the same thing. So you're still driving well, but you have just accessed higher mind because you're going to that part of imagery, memory, where subconscious has 100% recall of anything you've ever done. 100%. It remembers every bit of it. So you're in a state of hypnosis because your body's still doing just fine driving down the road, and you're thinking about something else. So that's one of the best ways I can give as an example of, we go into hypnosis multiple times a day, and it is a natural state that we go into. All I do is teach people how to access hypnosis and how to use it for their greater good. I'm pretty much the illuminator of the path. That's what I do. And I teach them the processes. For those that want it broke down scientifically, because I do have those that come into my office.
That would be me.
Yeah. And because people are like, okay, is this metaphysical? Is it a bunch of woo-woo? If you want it to be, I guess. And I'll have people ask me, you're going to make me cluck like a chicken. I get that so often, at least once a week. And I say, I could, but I think there's a better use for our time together.
Right.
So that's basically it. It is focused mind. When you if you want to improve your golf game, or you want to be hyper focused on something that you're writing, you can put yourself in a state of hypnosis. I put myself in hypnosis before I paint, or before I work on my miniatures, because I'm a collector and creator of miniatures, on 112 square miniatures. So it's pretty simple. It's not as complex as people think it is, and it's very good for us. It's very good for us to allow the mind and body and spirit to just go and just let go. And hypnosis is accumulative. You've experienced it once. I want you to have those recordings, because every time you listen to hypnosis, you go deeper and deeper into hypnosis. Now,
I do try to meditate on a regular basis, and
it's different though.
I'm sorry.
It's different because
I want to talk about how that's different, because I try to meditate and I try to just clear my mind, and then when the thoughts come in, let them keep going. Acknowledge them, but let them keep going on, and but the thoughts will keep coming. I try to clear my mind and get really quiet. But so, how is it different from that?
It's different, whereas you are giving the subconscious a job. You are giving it a job. And if you can imagine, the subconscious is saying, yes, ma'am, and it's going to do it, because the subconscious will do exactly what you tell it to do, or look for opportunities. So if you go into hypnosis with the mindset, thinking about this podcast, for example, you go into hypnosis this morning and you imagine, sense, and feel how incredible this podcast is going to go, then your subconscious is going to look for opportunities to make that so. No matter what we say, negative or positive, it's going to look for opportunities to make that so. So in meditation, we're not giving it a job. We're relaxing it, but we're not giving it a job. And subconscious wants a job. It doesn't discern between it's a good job or a job that does not serve us. So if the hypnosis was, or the thinking, well, you don't have to go into hypnosis for this. We do lots of this on our own, is, oh my God, is everybody going to like this? I hope Renae doesn't, mess this up. I hope we do a good job together. Then subconscious is going to look for opportunities to mess it up. It's like the best way, another way to describe it is, Krista, don't think of a purple cow. Well, in order to think of the
purple cow,
in order to not think of the purple cow, the subconscious has to actually create the purple cow, because that's the center of creation in the mind. And subconscious is completely uses imagery and visualization. So we just instead say the things we want. So if you catch yourself being negative Nancy, sorry, any Nancy's that are out there, and I have a friend named Nancy, but negative Nelly, then pay attention. Yeah, pay attention, Downy Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie Downer.
Catch yourself if it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Instead, we could change the language to, I'm happy to get this done because I know it serves my greater good, and then I get to do this. The mind will have a lightness to it. It will look at it as something fun to do, and you will find opportunities. The subconscious will help you find opportunities to show you that it was fun or it was beneficial, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. So, and you say the subconscious needs a job. Does it, if you don't give it a job, will it just create a job? Or, I mean, will it just take whatever you're putting in there? Don't purposely put things in there, it'll just take over. And
well, so it's constantly in control. It's not going to just take over. It's always taken over. Always.
Okay. So if you're not purposely feeding what you want to feed it, then it's going to just take whatever you are feeding it to, I guess, or whatever's going on in your life or whatever you're thinking, and you might not be purposely directing those thoughts or focusing what you want. It's going to take whatever's there regardless. So it would be beneficial for you to give it what you do want, to feed it what you want, and to focus on that.
Yeah, and you've heard me talk about the positive affirmations and the Mind Feed affirmation books that I do. So we talk about therapeutic affirmations in hypnotherapy, and I talk about powerful affirmations in coaching. The truth is they're exactly the same. So it's important that we speak to what we are. So as you are, taking on this adventure, and I love that you're taking this on because you're very well suited for it. As a coach, as a podcaster, you can, before a hypnosis or a coaching session, just remind yourself, I feel good about this. I feel good about this. This is a wonderful day to be doing what I'm doing because this serves and helps so many people.
Right.
Because I'm doing an act of service, I feel good.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm doing an act of service, I feel wonderful.
Right. I love it.
You can always do the negative. Oh my gosh. I hope it does right. I hope it does right. Oh, well, what's going to happen? How's it going to get screwed up? Well, how's it going to get screwed up? Just gave subconscious marching orders.
Right. And, I don't tend to do that on the negative. I really just naturally think of the positive. And a lot of times the negative will not even cross my mind until I tell someone else about something I'm doing. And then it's amazing to me how many people make negative comments when you share something with them about your life. So a lot of things I really tend to keep to myself for a while. I have told very, very few people about this podcast and have kind of kept it under wraps until I was ready to start releasing the episodes. And one of those reasons is I didn't want to hear anything negative. I did not want, and people, and I think sometimes they mean well, but I don't even want that seed planted in my mind. I don't want to, because a lot of times people will say something that never even crossed my mind, but then once it's out there, it's out there. So I'm just pointing out it's just amazing to me how many people go, have a tendency to go that direction to the negative and feel like it's okay to express that to another person, which I really don't think it is, but I think it would be very beneficial for more people to learn how to focus on the positive and to feed their thoughts with more positive behaviors and images. And so just throwing that out there.
No, I think that's a good thing to bring up, because when we look at life and we look at things that happen in our lives, we could if I ask you to think of some good things that have happened in your life or some bad things that have happened in your life, we've already categorized those things. But if we boil those things or those experiences down to their rawest nature, they're simply things. They're simply happenings. We subscribe a meaning to it. such as with a guy for 6.5 years, we broke up. It felt like it was the most devastating thing in my whole life. And now I look back on it now, and the meaning I ascribe to it now is I wouldn't have left that relationship. So my instinct, my body knew what was right, and it worked as it should. So even now we can decide what we used to think was bad. We can decide that I'm not sure what that is. I'm just going to sit in the space before I make a decision on it. Because we may decide later that it was uncomfortable, but it wasn't bad. Maybe we don't even put the word bad in that. We just say, that's not something I want to do again. That's unpleasant, but it's okay because I'm okay.
Right.
Because I'm okay. Even if someone says something about your podcast, and this is a really good, because this will help you so much on your coaching, imagining that half the people that hear it are not going to like it, and half the people that meet you and know that you're working towards this health coach goal are going to think that's rubbish. How do you plan on making money with that? All that. Okay. They're not in charge of your life.
Exactly.
And you can say something as easy as this. Well, since I'm not having to give you my paycheck, I guess it's a good thing then. Or I appreciate your opinion, but opinions are much better when they're asked for.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. I love that. Well, let's talk about some reasons that people come to see you for hypnotherapy sessions.
Okay, so some of the main reasons are smoking cessation, anxiety relief, weight loss, sports performance enhancement, sexual enhancement, being people that have grown apart, maybe they just kind of got out of it and then they get in their own head, just allowing the mind to go back to where it was before, or taking those beliefs. And essentially that's what we do in hypnosis is we don't inject anything in the mind that the client doesn't want. They always know what we're going to be talking about. I always do that. There's no mystery. But we replace neutral or we replace limiting beliefs with either neutral or more positive beliefs. And that's, of course, with the express approval of the client. So generally my first session may take 2 to 3 hours with a client because we're really going through a lot of questions. And that's with any of them, pain relief, people that have been on opioids because of back injuries and pain relief. I've worked with several people who've had arthritis. Me, myself, was someone who suffered with that. And since doing hypnosis, not only have the curvation of my fingers stopped, and I'm not claiming that this is a miracle worker for everybody. Everybody's body knows its own body best. We're the subject matter experts of our own body. So
Absolutely.
what may work on, do I?
I said absolutely.
Yeah. So just so it works on me doesn't mean it's going to have the same effect on you, because hypnosis comes down to this. You have to want it. You have to be involved in the process, and you absolutely have to give it a chance. And so it's like, Krista, if you wanted to build a shed outside, I gave you a hammer and some nails, and I come back later and say, it's not up. Did you even swing the hammer to put a nail in? And they go, no, I didn't even swing the hammer. So I'm going to give people a lot of tools, and then they're going to pay what they owe me, and they're not going to have gone down the road because maybe they really weren't ready. Maybe they thought they were going to come to me and I was going to do some kind of hocus pocus on them, and it's not having the effect. Well, if they signed up for 6 sessions, I'm going to end them at 3. And I'm going to say, when you're ready, come back, we'll do more. Or even after I do an intake, I ask them very specific questions. Not everyone's going to be my client.
Right.
I must see that readiness.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine that's really important to be truly heal and to resolve your issues.
Yeah, and I've worked with clients who stutter, those who have different types of phobia, phobia of needles, phobia of seeing blood, phobia of vomiting. That's a big one, believe it or not. Fear of not being nauseous. letting go of trauma. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my clients.
You all have that, I'm sure.
PTSD, being able to lower the volume on that, and not that it can go completely away, although it can. I don't make guarantees like that, because it depends on if a client only does hypnosis when they come into the room with me. And of course, I'm doing everything virtually these days. But the only time they do hypnosis is when they see me. They're not going to get to their goal as quickly. However, if they follow the instructions, they do the writing work I ask them to do, and do the recording hypnosis every day, or put themselves in hypnosis every day, they are going to see results in ways that they couldn't even imagine. And that's just the way it is. You can always see a difference in the people that are actually doing their work versus those who want me to do all the work for them. And it's not going to have the success rate if they're not really involved in the process.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when a client comes in, you're going to talk to them about what a specific goal that they have in mind, or something that they want to resolve or heal.
Right.
And then going to develop a program based on that, what the goal is.
Yeah.
Or what results they're wanting.
Yes.
Then now, do you come up with the suggestions during the hypnotherapy sessions, or do you kind of work with them on what suggestions they want you to offer to them during the session?
Yes.
How does that work?
The way it works, well, let's kind of step back a little bit. We have 3 layers of the mind. We have the consciousness, the critical factor, or I guess 4: consciousness, critical factor, subconscious, and superconsciousness. Now, all of that's in the mind. So between the consciousness and the subconscious is critical factor. And that's our kind of, don't do it. It's not a good idea. It's our critical voice. Some people call it even the parental voice.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Some people, so when I want to deliver hypnosis in their own voice, because I know, being a girl from southeastern Oklahoma, I'm going to say particular colloquialisms that they may not use in hypnosis or may not resonate, because we have to get past the naysaying critical factor. So if I said to them, more and more each day, you feel good about your body, and they might say, I never say that. I never say that I feel good about my body. I said, could you say, I feel good about what I'm doing for my body? Yeah, I could say that. So we make sure they get that A-okay. And often once we get started, they come up with their own stuff. So they come in, they do an intake, doesn't cost them anything. I say come in, they do like you and I are doing. And I get a real good feel on whether they're going to be a good candidate or not. How seriously they take it, what they want to do with it, if they're going to continue with it afterward, if they're going to show up when they say they're going to, because that's a big deal for me. I'm a woman of my word. Show up.
Exactly.
Can't show up for an appointment, you're not showing up for yourself, you're probably not my client. And it's fine. If I get people not after we've talked and had a whole discovery session, and they don't make an appointment with me, or I do a follow-up call and they don't answer it, it's cool. You'll do it whenever you're ready, or not. It's fine.
Right, because it's a partnership. It's like it's really a partnership. Which every form of healing should be.
Yes.
It's not. I think when you go to a medical doctor, you've got to show up as well, because you're the one that knows your body best, and you need to participate with that doctor and not just do everything that he tells you to do, or you need to provide him or her enough information so that they have a good picture of your overall health and who you are, and be a participant in that. Because I see so many people that are not. They just go to the doctor, listen to everything they say, and then a lot of times it doesn't work for them, or they don't have healing. So, I think in your world as well, it's important for that person to show up and to be a partner to you in the process.
Yeah, and also, just as a medical adjunct, I can work directly with their physicians if they give me the release to do so. But let's say I have a client who has had heart conditions, and he or she, it's my preference that they let their doctor know that they're doing this. I'm not legally bound to do that, but I play nice with others. And I also want their doctor to let me know if they feel like they're comfortable enough for them doing this. Not that we're I'm have them kicking like a rockhead or anything during hypnosis, because that's not the kind of hypnosis that I do. But the main thing is the doctor is in the loop, and the doctor, you know, if doctors reach out to me and say, what have you worked on? What have you worked on with the anxiety? You know, I'm noticing this, and he or she. So I do want them, I want to know how healthy they are. I want to know if they're bipolar. I want to know if they're borderline. I want to know whatever it is, because that's going to have me looking for different things. And their body language may be different. If they've had severe child abuse, I want to know that too. Because if they come in for weight loss, now I don't have to know all this right away. I can just treat what they put in front of me, because a lot of times those things don't come out until on down the line. I can't make them tell me some things, but, you know, and let me just add a caveat to that. That comes out on down the line. You are not going to ever tell me something that you're not ready to tell me. I can't make you do that. So that's a myth that you're going to learn everything about me, and I don't want anybody to know my deepest and darkest secrets. I don't want to know your deepest and darkest secrets either. And I don't want anybody to know mine. So are there people that have used hypnosis unethically? Yeah, and shame on them. But I'm a medical adjunct, and I take it very, very serious. And I follow the lead of the client. And you look at the goal. The goal may be weight loss, but that may be a direct symptom of sexual childhood abuse. If that comes up, we work with that. Whatever comes up. I mean, things may come up that they didn't know was going to come up, but it comes up organically because the subconscious is ready to release it. And the subconscious is not going to release it because I ask it to. It's going to release it when it's ready to. It's very powerful.
Right. Now, and some people may wonder, now, do people talk during the hypnosis session? I know I did not when I had one with you, but
They do.
In some senses, people?
Yeah, sometimes they do. Like if we're doing a lot of imagery, I can guide and direct them. Like there's one session that I do where I have them walking through a field, which is another thing I have to check. Some people don't like grass. They don't like to be barefoot. So I have to ask them ahead of time, because if not, they don't like that. I'm going to have them walk on a sandy beach, because they might like that a little better. It really makes a difference where they're at. Or I say, you're walking in your favorite place. Tell me where that place is. And so I let their imagination, because imagination is 1,000 times more powerful than willpower. So if we have, gotta have this willpower to diet, I gotta have this willpower to do this. No, just use your imagination. It'll serve you better. So they have them go to a door, and I'll say, go ahead and knock on the door. And they'll open, and I said, the door is going to open, and then tell me who you see. You know, it's been anyone from a great grandmother that's passed away to mist behind the door. Mist. Yeah. And so we use that, and they're talking to me the entire time.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And there's times where they just listen, and they just, you know, they just absolutely listen. I sometimes get a lot of movement. First time I had a woman do a lot of movement, I was thinking, I'm not sure she's doing so well right now as far as going deep into this process. And she didn't remember moving after I brought her up from hypnosis. She was so excited. She was ready to start running. Wow. She's moving so much. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And typically how long does a session last?
It depends. You know, I block my day where I can have at least 3 sessions and 2 30-minute check-ins. I like to do check-ins with my clients. I also do some volunteer 30-minute sessions in there for people that are healthcare workers now that are working with with COVID, and also people that have lost their insurance or they're not able to see me. That we want to keep the sessions continued, or people that have never met me before but want to see what it's like. I'll do 30-minute sessions with them, but typically a first session is going to be anywhere between 2 and 3 hours. And people can get up and go to the restroom. I love this in the house now. because
Mhm.
it does kind of change things up. It really just depends on,
Someone hypnosis for 2 to 3 hours?
they're not in hypnosis. We're talking.
Okay.
We're framing everything. Hypnosis
Right.
only lasts about 7 to 12 minutes for each.
Okay, that's the part I'm wondering about. How long does a typical hypnotherapy session last?
You can do one, and I do them all the time for myself in three minutes, beginning to end.
Okay.
5 minutes. You can train yourself to do it in 5 minutes for your
Mhm.
own self-hypnosis.
Okay.
And I'm actually finishing a recording to teach people how to do that, because what I've
Mhm.
been doing is teaching them live, and I thought, gosh, I'm saying the same thing over and over again.
Mhm.
I think I'll just record it and have them, clients that have at least experienced hypnosis once with me, they can practice on their self-hypnosis by listening to this recording.
Mhm.
But no, it's the getting the information from the client. It's
Mhm.
asking them about if they have a sensitizing event. Let's say they're wanting to stop smoking.
Mhm.
They have an emotional connection to something from their past, or they would not smoke.
Mhm.
And that's what it comes down to. It may
Mhm.
be, I feel like that's when I became an adult, or my friends were doing it and I really miss my friends. And it always comes down to an emotionalized event. Now, emotionalized events aren't always bad. They may be positive and endearing. And,
Sure. Sure.
and sure enough, you end up being a smoker.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that just reminds me of, this was just what popped into my head. Um, oysters on the half shell. I used to think that was so disgusting, and how could anybody eat that? And then I remember one night there was a group of us, we were out, there was probably about 5 or 6 of us. I was with the guy I was dating at the time. We were drinking some beer. It was like a Friday night. We were laughing. We were having the best time. Somebody ordered the oysters on the half shell. I ate some. They were really good that time because we were just all having the best time. It was just a good night, good vibes. And I have liked oysters on the half shell ever since. But I really, a part of me knew that it had a lot to do with the company I was in, the mood I was in, and the joy I was experiencing. And then those oysters just tasted so good. And forever after have they tasted good. And I was I was in my early 20s. So that just popped into my head how, you can have a positive association with a behavior. And I really do believe that was the turning point on that. So, on the other side
we
of the
would use
coin.
that. We would use that. We use the sense of smell, hearing, tasting, uh, tactilely, motion. We use all of those in hypnosis. I have people think of a memory that's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what the memory is.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, notice what you smell,
Mm-hmm.
what you feel. They may
Mm-hmm.
say, I smell my grandmother's cooking. I can feel my hands on the sofa, and it's cool because it's synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the cracks on the floor in my grandmother's house, and the house smells like it used to. It's nice being here. So smell, our sense of smell, is one of the strongest signalers or prompters to pull up memory.
Mm-hmm.
It
I've heard
really
that.
does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have heard that. Well, in songs, to me, I mean, I can hear a song on the radio and it'll just take me back instantly to a specific memory. And there's certain songs that I always relate with certain memories. I mean, it never fails.
Yeah,
So,
and you're going into a state of hypnosis when you're daydreaming about it.
okay, yeah.
That
Well,
okay?
and you talked about that too. So I have a background in news reporting,
Mm-hmm.
and I can remember writing articles for the newspaper, and I must be going into a state of hypnosis when I write an article, because I would, once the article was published, and then I would always want to look at it and review it when I see it in the paper. But a lot of times, and sometimes there was a delay from when I wrote the story until the publishing date. So then when I would look at the story, I would start reading it and I would not remember writing that at all. I would be like, wow, I wrote
Good.
that. That's really good. But I would really have no memory of, I mean, not an exact memory of where those words came from and how did I put those words together so eloquently. And I would just say, well, that just came from a, higher state of being, and I knew it would
Coming from higher mind.
Yeah,
From higher mind.
because it would just, I know once I would get into that zone when I'm ready to sit down and write, and I really do have to go into a zone, but then it just would flow. It would flow through me. And then, like I said, when I would see the article, I would not, remember writing those exact words. I would just be like, where did that come from? That's amazing. So that's interesting that you say that, because
yeah, and often writers that I work with, or artists that I work with, and since I paint myself, I will do hypnosis right before, and I'm going to give myself, we deliver therapeutic scripts, if you will, and it has to be something, like I said, relates well with the client. So for me, if I were about to create something, I would go put myself into hypnosis, and it's as easily as taking 3 deep breaths in and out, closing your mind, relaxing the body, and just allow, and then seeing yourself doing what you want to do, and see yourself having completed it. Because this is a beautiful thing. The subconscious, because it has no sense of time, you can see yourself successful, and it doesn't know it hasn't happened.
I love it.
Even if you do that consciously, you don't have to be in hypnosis to do that. If you were to shut your eyes and imagine yourself top of the podcast world, your podcast blowing up the iTunes and podcast and Stitcher, that would be a way to give the subconscious instructions so it moves you in the direction to make that happen. Maybe you notice people you didn't notice before. Maybe you feel a pull to go talk to one person than you wouldn't normally feel a pull to.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So instead of focusing on how hard this is going to be, or how much I'm so challenged, it's kind of hard, I'm not sure, throw that away. I usually say reverse, 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 and I think of something different. So as we're putting ourselves in that self-hypnosis, it could just be, I am creative. I am creative. I create beautiful things that fill my heart with joy. Then I count myself out of hypnosis. I imagine, sense, and feel that I've done that. I maybe even see the painting on the wall. Open my eyes, just go start painting. And I don't know what's going to happen. But so far, so good. It's been pretty wonderful stuff.
Well, isn't it also true that the subconscious doesn't really know the difference between imagination and reality?
Yeah, exactly. Like I just said, if you can imagine your future having succeeded it, that's imagination, right? But the subconscious thinks you're absolutely done it. If you close your eyes right now and imagine that someone walked in there and handed you $1,000, and you let that feeling wash over you. Who doesn't feel good when someone hands them $1,000, right?
Right.
Your subconscious is like, giddy, giddy, giddy. Let's go buy a new handbag, or whatever it may be. So it has no discernment between real and imagined. That works on the negative side too, because a lot of our negative, condescending, derogatory, destructive language, the subconscious believes it is real. Often it is the lies we tell ourselves. So we can clean a lot of this up without even using hypnosis. Hypnosis is laser focus, and it gets to the center a lot faster.
Right.
That's the only difference.
Right. And I've been using affirmations a lot this past year. And I had read somewhere that if you record them in your own voice and then say them while you're listening, playing it back, that's more powerful. So I've been doing that and listening to it in my car when I'm driving, or just whenever, maybe doing something around the house. And I will say it along with my recorded voice. And it has been very powerful. I would say that it has a difference.
Well, I have 7 books on powerful affirmations, and they're nothing but affirmations. And so I have people, the books are where you could take them apart, and I have people use these as your stems for a stem sentence and make it your own. So if I have one called The Body Present, where it's really designed for people who have unrealistic sense of self, their body, or they loathe their body, or they want to learn how to love their body. So we say things, I say things in the book like, I love the way my hips move when I dance.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if your hips are this wide, like my daughter's, or this wide, like mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's appreciation of the human condition, that I appreciate this body that my soul is being carried around in. So I have my clients pick out the ones that resonate with them, but then I have them read them out loud. And I do encourage people to read them in their own voice.
Mm-hmm.
Saying them out loud is much more powerful than just reading them. Now, having them plastered all over the walls and having an affirmation board that you get up and you read every day, or you handwrite some when you're out and about and you think of it when you're driving, as soon as you stop, you write those affirmations down. That's very powerful too. We say them out loud, because when we say them out loud, we will not do the monkey mind. The mind won't go all over the place, because we are reading it, we're hearing it, we're saying it. So monkey mind's going to occur in one of those places. We're just going to be thinking about something else. So if I'm holding this up and I'm saying, more and more each day, I feel good about the work that I'm doing. It feels wonderful. More and more each day, I feel good about the work I am doing. It feels wonderful. And it's not on here, but saying it out loud, I hear it, I say it. I also feel the vibration in my body. And I'm speaking the vibration in the body.
I hadn't thought about that.
Changes the vibration in the body. And you say it loud and proud. And if you want to get really fun with it, get yourself in a Wonder Woman stance.
What? Oh, in a Wonder Woman stance?
Or Superman pose.
Okay, that's great.
Either way.
It's been really helpful, because what I do when I record it, so I say the affirmation 3 times, very clearly. And that way, when I'm playing it back in my car, then I know I'm going to say it 3 times in those exact words. Excellent. So the more I do those, they're just so in there now that I can just be driving, not even hardly thinking about it too much, and just say those affirmations over and over. And they may, the next one I go on to a little bit of something different, and the next one's a little different. But I say each one 3 times so that I know, and I can say it exactly along with my recorded voice. And it has been really powerful and enjoyable. It makes me feel good. So
you are doing something. That's an interesting thing, because intuitively that felt like the right thing to do. You listen to your intuition, and look how it's serving you so well. So listen to your intuition, people. It knows you best. Intuition is the subject matter expert on us. Right. I'm not that for you. I'm not that for anybody else, but I am that for me. And so it's important to listen and pay attention to that. I wonder, Krista, if you notice when you're around a lot of people that are negative, how quickly you notice it now, as opposed to when you weren't doing this work for yourself, where you weren't mirroring the things or repeating the things that you had recorded. How's that improved, or how does it make you just notice when people speak in negativity?
Well, I think I've probably always noticed it, but I just, I just don't want to be around it too much now. I kind of will gently remove myself from the situation, because, I'm not going to resist it. I'm not going to really try to counter it. To me, it's just better to try to remove myself if I can, or just, I just let it roll. I mean, I'm not going to take it on. I definitely do not take it on anymore. But it is surprising how often that happens. But I think I've always kind of, things that I've really, really wanted in life, I've kept close to myself until it comes to fruition. And it's kind of a protective thing. I believe it's a protective behavior, because I don't want that negativity to even enter my space or my energy, or put those thoughts in my head. So
yeah, but you can get to it. You like anybody else can get to a point that it will not matter what another person says. I mean, I literally had someone, after I got out of oil and gas, and I stopped working with the Department of Education, and then went into oil and gas, and and then was laid off in 2016, which was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. They would say the most negative things when I told them what I was going to do. I was finally going to start this practice. It was calling to me, and I could not say no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're at a certain age, you have to kind of watch out. You know, you're not going to basically, don't lose the pretty, because you're not going to be as marketable once you're an old woman. And I just thought, well, okay. I just kept thinking, well, I guess I go live with my son or my daughter. I guess it'll work out that way, with no intention. But now it's gotten to a point, and I literally can look at them and say, do you think what you just said serves you or hurts you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think what you just shared with me hurts me, hinders me, or helps me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't say anything else.
Mm-hmm. Does that kind of shut them down?
It's more of them to notice what they're saying.
Okay, I like
And
that.
it's all it is. It's not, you know, there's a book called Non-Violent Communication, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not to arouse, you know, someone putting their dukes up. It's to notice ourselves first. We start there. What
Mm-hmm.
kind of language are we spouting?
Mm-hmm.
When my clients come in, this is very typical. I've had one client in hundreds. When I've asked them, what is your goal?
Mm-hmm.
They start telling me, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm tired of this, so I don't want this. I'm like, okay, you told me what you don't want. Let's start again. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times they'll say, I want to feel better. But it's really hard because I have this husband that does this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, let's start again. What do you want? So what do you want? If you had a magic lamp and then you rubbed it and you got 3 wishes, the genie's not going to want to hear what you don't want. Pretend I'm the genie and tell me what you want.
Mm-hmm. And I bet that's hard for a lot of people.
People are so conditioned to speak and complain or to say what they don't want, that they speak in a complaining and negative tone, that they don't know how to ask for what they want. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's as simple as, I want to feel happy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I want to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. I want to feel confident.
Mm-hmm.
And see, what happens is, if those were the 3 things, then we're going to make the programming be there. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask them, how can you make yourself happy? What would it look like to be confident?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So that's where we start from.
Yeah, because just going back to people making negative comments, I think sometimes they mean well, or it seems like it can be a way for them to tell you what they know, and that they know about this situation, and they, you know, they're going to give you some advice. Yeah, and I think it comes from that place, but it's just like, just because that was your experience does not mean that's going to be my experience.
You know, I know how highly motivated you are. I know that you're a woman of your word, a woman who, she gets her mindset on something, she's going to execute it flawlessly. Mm-hmm. And if you do hit some bumps in the road, I call those our courageous failures. You know, mm-hmm. Thomas Edison certainly had a few. So did Henry Ford. And so did the Wright brothers. Courageous mm-hmm. failures. And I laugh about them. And I use them as stories that I can encourage other people with. So even those mm-hmm. things, there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of figuring out what to do.
That's really how you learn. Mm-hmm. That's how you learn and kind of redirect.
Absolutely.
Make adjustments. So there was absolutely nothing wrong with failure. I don't even like to call it failure.
You notice just courageous in front of it.
Yeah, I like that. There's some really good quotes out there too. I can't think of one offhand, but there's some great quotes around that about, you know, just being, they're just being learning experiences that get you one step closer to success. Yeah. So that's how I look at it. Well, you know, I could talk to you all day. We probably should wrap it up. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't talk about?
Not really. Just simply that if people want to find out what hypnosis is about and they want to schedule a discovery session with me, are you going to have my digits on your?
Yes. below this video, I will put a
Perfect.
link to your website so
they can go to my website, or they can text me directly, which is just fine. Tell me who they are. You can find me in Psychology Today, but don't go through all that if you don't have to. But they can text me out my number. I'm going to go ahead and say it, but it'll be at the bottom. 405-246-6440. And that number is a little different than the one on Psychology Today because they use that to screen my calls. But if you want,
and what is your website?
www.startherecoachingservices.com, or they can also type in okchypno.com.
Okay, great. Yes, I will put the credentials at the bottom.
Yep, either one of those will get you to me. It's just better to do one-on-one with me to make an appointment, and we can set up appointments through the telephone, and I will. Discovery sessions don't cost a thing. They usually are 45 minutes to an hour because I really want to know about my clients. I want to know who they are. I want to know if we're a good fit. If we're not, I'm going to refer them to somebody else. I am the only person that in Oklahoma City that does the medical adjunct pieces. And I may be the only board certified hypnotherapist in Oklahoma City that exclusively does what I do because I've not found another one. And so it's something I take very seriously. I work with it in the direction of the client, and yeah, check it out. Come talk to me about what you want. I'll let you know if I can help you, and I'll be honest and tell you if I can't.
Okay, great. Well, I can certainly attest to your abilities. I think you're fabulous. I always enjoy being with you, talking with you. You're an amazing lady. I have a lot of admiration and respect for you. So I think that nobody could go wrong by reaching out to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me on. This is fun.
It has been great. Thank you so much. So, well, thank you everyone for joining me today on Phoenix Rising, A Way Towards Health. Remember, health is wealth and nature is the best medicine. And in the words of Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine. I'm Krista Townsend with Phoenix Rising, wishing you the best of health. Take care. That's it.